from one day to the next, you're like kicked out of your home, and you're like, okay, shit, where am I sleeping tonight?
Do you know what? That actually happened to me.
And we're on. Welcome everybody to another episode of the Last Week Liquid podcast. Today I have the honor of sitting down with none other than Peter, also known as Energy. Peter is a drum and bass DJ and most notably the self-proclaimed supreme leader at Overview Music, the label he founded in 2018. In just a few years, Overview has become a cornerstone of forward-thinking drum and bass, becoming one of the best-selling labels on Beatport, with releases from the likes of Jarfield, Annex, Workforce and Clinical. You can catch their 50th release, the Memories EP by Ruben, out now on all platforms. Peter, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm good. I'm just going to have to correct you there. That release is not the 50th release. Actually,
Oh,
that
shit.
release is the 49th release. So
I thought it was the fifth. Where did I read that?
Yeah, no, I did do a Facebook status because we are just about to release our 50th release, our next release, which is going to be a single from Yano. Big up to Yano. That is going to be out next. So it's very close. I mean, we are celebrating 50 releases.
We are celebrating in a way 50
that's
releases.
A thing. That's a thing.
All right,
I'm
it's a
sorry
thing.
to,
No,
it is
at all.
I don't know totally how it happened though. To be honest with you, it's it's kind of come around very quickly. It was a little bit kind of, I don't know, to make like a 50th release, it should be like a big milestone or something. And I was like, oh, okay, like it's 50th release now. Like,
Yeah. How does it feel when you think of it, like 50 individual releases with everything that goes behind a release and hitting 50? Like, how does it feel?
That actually doesn't really feel totally real, or it doesn't feel like 50. It doesn't feel like that many, I don't think, if I'm honest. But then it is. Obviously it is, and obviously you've got 50 releases, and then obviously each release is 4 tracks for an EP, or you know, and all of a sudden we are talking about a serious amount of music and a serious amount of hours is put into making that music as well. I mean, maybe I try not to think about that sometimes because I think that could actually kind of like. That then all of a sudden becomes like a lot of pressure to like handle, and it just sort of is maybe a little bit overwhelming. You're like, damn, like, I don't know, try not to focus on some of that stuff. Like, obviously it's good to recognize that. I think you have to understand it, but kind of always looking ahead in a way.
Yeah.
You look at what we've done, but it definitely doesn't feel like 50. Yeah, I don't know quite how. Like I said, I don't know quite how it happened. Really,
It's not something you planned when you started, I imagine, to reach 50 or.
I guess, you don't ever sort of think about, oh, you know, I would like to release X amount of releases, or even like how long would that take? I guess we've only been going 3 years, so just over 3 years. So yeah, 50 releases in that time is quite it's quite a lot. It is quite a lot. I mean, when when you're releasing sort of we tend to sort of averagely do it every sort of 3 weeks, 4 weeks. So it's just, you just don't stop. It's just like this kind of like this sort of cycle and this kind of routine that you kind of get in with it. It's like I said, because it doesn't feel like that. It almost just feels like quite a natural thing to be doing. You just go with it, and bang, all of a sudden there's 50 releases down the line. And we've got obviously the next however many planned already. It's quite it's a fair operation, but
I'm sure it is. It must be interesting, like thinking of like when you started it, and it's like just this. Oh yeah, I want to put out cool music from these people that I know, and then to see it grow the amount it did, and I'm pretty sure it kind of like took over your life to some extent. Must be like I don't know, and I'm just reflecting on myself with the podcast. It's like I just started like doing 1 episode a week with people I want to talk to, and now it's kind of like taken over because I'm doing a lot more marketing and a lot more reaching out, and then all of a sudden like 75% of my week is the podcast. You know, it's like, okay, wait, how did this happen again?
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess that's the thing. Sometimes you just have those ideas that you just sort of run with, and maybe don't even sort of necessarily put so much thought in it. I mean, I myself, for starting Overview, it was never actually planned. I was not. I don't know how much you know about the full ins and outs of the beginning of those.
I know a fair bit.
Oh, there we go. Oh no.
For people on the audio version, I don't know if this is still on sale, but the Downloads and Reloads magazine had a feature, I guess, with yourself talking about the overview story, which was a brilliant read. I really, really enjoyed it. So I don't know if it's still on sale or not, but try to find it.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the Downloads and Reloads guys. They did sort of
they've stopped. They've stopped.
Have they stopped?
Yeah. They sent a message. They posted like a few weeks ago saying that when they switched to Only Magazine, because it was a newsletter initially and it was taking a lot of time, and eventually, a few weeks ago, they just said that, it's just not possible. Yeah, it is. It really is.
Look, print media. I mean, it's. Fair. That was always the thing. I mean, obviously, I really respected them for doing it, because I think there's something special. It's funny that you actually bought one. I mean, that's really cool, actually.
I have a few, yeah.
yeah. No, I did sign up to the letter as well. I know there's got the Render Mag guys are like still kind of going, and they're probably, I think, the one main print media, the one that I know of. But it's a tough, that's a really tough thing to get into. And keep that up.
But sorry, I broke you off there. So you were saying it was like Overview wasn't planned because of the history.
Oh right, yeah. You got to be careful with this podcast, because this is the fun thing about unplanned podcasts. We'll see what subject matters get talked into. This is your job to try and keep me on track.
On track, I will.
So going back, Overview was not at all planned. I was with another record label before for sort of 4 or 5 years. I'd been involved with drum and bass for a bit longer than that. And I had an incident, we'll put it that way, with the person that I was working with at Lifestyle. And I found myself record label-less without really any real plan. Completely sort of fresh slate in a lot of respects, but had the work that had been put into that point, and was obviously very involved in the drum and bass scene, and that was it. It was like, right, well, we'll start again, and just took that idea. Like I said, it was never meant to be. It was never meant to be the thing that I thought was going to, like you're saying about mapping your future, mapping what you're doing, and thinking about the next 5 years. Like I had a completely different life planned up until that point.
What was it?
Well, it was to take lifestyle music to the top. That was the real plan, and it was going that way. To be honest with you, like it wasn't like we left a kind of I mean, it was arguably at its strongest point, which was what made the whole kind of thing even more kind of surreal in a way. And I said it is what it is, but so that was the thing, I was at that, and I had this is what we're doing, this is where we're going, these are all the plans, I had all these releases, all these people that I was working with, and I had my whole life, the whole next sort of 6 months to a year planned out, and all these big projects, and all of a sudden that overnight was taken away from me. And I was completely and utterly out on my ass.
I'm curious about that period. Obviously, I don't want to like dive into the controversy too much, because I read in UKF or something, you talked about it, and you said like if people know about it, then they know about it. If they don't, it doesn't really matter. Like it just happened, and that's the way it is. But I'm just curious, because that relationship kind of, from what you said in the Downloads and Reloads issue, it kind of degraded over a certain period of time. So was your next step maybe something you were slowly thinking about because you could feel this coming, or was it really just like from one day to the next you're like kicked out of your home and you're like, okay, shit, where am I sleeping tonight?
Do you know what? That actually happened to me not long after I got left the record label as well.
Oh,
I'm
shit.
not gonna lie.
Okay.
Yeah. I had both things happen to me in the space of about 3 months. So
oh wow.
yeah. that is something that not so many people know about. It's not something you always want to like show off about, but yeah, it's only like compound my sort of situation. I mean, look, there had been a lot of problems for a long time. I had toyed with the idea of potentially starting something myself before. I was close to doing it one time before, when we put together something called the Australian Connection album, and so it was like at that time, and I was very close to like I almost was gonna like I wanted to release the whole thing on my own new label or some crazy idea. So it'd been there'd been problems, but I guess I always maybe was a bit naive, and maybe I can be a bit like single-minded sometimes, and a bit relentless, and a bit kind of stubborn, and maybe didn't want to admit that it was as bad as it was, or was always trying to find a way to make it work. And when you're so invested in it, and there's so many people relying on you around it, that the thought of not doing it is like, so it just doesn't seem real. It's not something that you really plan for in a way, because it's like no, that's not going to happen. We're going to fix this. We're going to fix this. Like, this is going to be fine. We'll find a way to make it work. Because like I said, on the other side of it, we were doing really, really well, putting out some amazing music, starting to really get booked for shows. It was really taking off to really be what you'd want from a record label. So there was these two juxtapositions on it, and unfortunately it kind of went bang. But yeah, I mean, with hindsight now, and with what happens, I'm not sitting here unhappy, and it was something that needed to happen, arguably, but I didn't see that at the time. You can't.
Yeah, it's always the same with those big life lessons. It's like, in hindsight, you'd probably do things differently and maybe say things differently or whatever.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't have done anything differently. No, I wouldn't have done anything
really?
differently. No,
yeah, but because it led you to this point.
This wouldn't have happened.
Yeah,
I don't know if I mean, that's maybe only because obviously it has worked out okay. I mean, obviously, if it hadn't, and I I wouldn't even be sitting here today. I was very close to being on the edge, like go do something completely different with my life. I mean, you do see it with people that instantly sort of overnight or over the course of a few months just disappear and go from trying to stay in drum and bass and keep up with what's going on and stay in the scene. And that's the real challenge, is to have that grit and determination to really stick at it. Because I think those are that's what kind of helps you last, stay there. And not everyone does, for whatever reason.
I guess what I meant is that if any of the same issues appeared like today with Overview, like if you were in I don't know, some of those same issues in relationships or whatever, you might deal with them differently because of what you learned. And it's only because you go through those experiences that you can learn from it, basically. So it's like,
okay. No, I get you. No, you're right. And you are right. Like it did teach me a lot, and I'm thankful for those lessons. And I wouldn't act some of the ways that I was and did at the time. I was almost like antagonizing the situation because it was bad and stuff like that. But yeah, it was a while ago. I mean, I'm not unhappy to talk about it or.
No, we don't need to linger.
But it doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't always. I don't want it to. Like, that's the thing. I've tried to then not make sure it doesn't. It didn't define me, and it hasn't. Like, I don't know. But it is. I don't know. It is a crazy story. Like, it is a crazy story, as you can even tell from the kind of from the article to how it sort of transpired, and that kind of like on the edge. And then come back, even sort of stronger in a way.
They kind of put it really well in the article. Is that it's obviously it's not fun to linger on it, but it's part of the overview story. It's part of how overview got started, so it's kind of hard to not talk about it.
Well, yeah, I mean that is the problem, because it's almost like a bit of a, it is a bit of that kind of like, ooh, is that, the lifestyle story? Can we talk about that? And I still get a lot of people making jokes, and it's still it's still a difficult thing to comprehend sometimes, and the kind of really sort of strange emotions that it brings up. And you're completely right that I wouldn't be here, and an overview wouldn't exist if it wasn't for that. And if we're gonna talk about overview, you've got to talk about it. But obviously, it's just like, there's obviously differing opinions on it, maybe, and it's not. It was a bit. It wasn't the. There was sad things to it, and I still have a strange relationship with that, and kind of hearing back to the music that we used to release and how that makes me feel. And but like I said, that's the thing. I've tried not to kind of focus on it too much, and really just I just went for it and was really okay, like this shit thing has happened, but I love this music, and I love what I'm doing, and I love helping people, and I'm good at it, and I'm just gonna carry on and keep the momentum up that I had. I think that was the thing. Like, although the lifestyle as a project had momentum, I personally had the momentum as well, and just went with it. And like I said, the last 3 years have been just a bit of a whirlwind, to be honest. Even forgetting the pandemic, but just all of how the project has evolved, and how much, like, just the level of some of the music that we've been able to put out, and working with so many great people, and there's just so much positivity around it. And I'm now starting to get these, like, we did these big shows in London and Bristol, just the turn of the year, and they were just really just surreal, mind-blowing moments where it was just like, we actually done this? Is this like, this is us? This isn't, I don't know. Is that those things like, that you work towards or dream about, and they're starting to happen now. It's taken a while to get here. And
that's also something I wanted to touch on, because there's obviously I want to talk about overview and what made it like a success and all of that. And I guess sometimes a lot of people might look at overview and think, wow, they've done all of this in just 3 years. It's crazy. Like, it's such an overnight success story, which it really isn't when you read about a bit of your background and how involved you were in drum and bass prior to overview. So can you tell me a bit about, like, before lifestyle music, the other like types of projects that you had, like YouTube channels and stuff like that kind of built and contributed?
No. I mean, I think that's the thing. Obviously for the people that know me and know overview, I mean, some people know these things, some people don't know some of these things. I mean, not that they're all, but they all take part in it. And that's the thing. I mean, I personally have been involved with drum and bass for, well, about 12 years now, something like that, 12 or 13. I think I went to my first kind of rave, but my first actual project that I tried to start was back in 2010, which was called South Coast Vibes, which was a YouTube channel. I tried to do like a podcast series, and it was very I don't know. Looking back at it now, I mean, that arguably is still kind of what I've still doing in a way. Just taking
out
it
music,
I've expanded it and made it, and it's taken a different path, because I could have, that project that I started back then, like that, for me, that should have really taken off, and that could have been a lot bigger than it was, or ended up kind of being, and there are reasons for why. And so I've had a few kind of like failed businesses in a way to get to this point. Had successes along the way with it as well, but those projects kind of ran out of steam, and I looked for another challenge. So so as I said, I had this South Coast Vibes project in 2010, and that was where I sort of cut my teeth promoting music, but that was specifically for like the UK South Coast. That was my niche. That was my angle.
You have to be niche. You have to be niche.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. You have to kind of like find a gap in the market or doing something that no one's doing. And it was at that time when you had channels like UKF had just started, Liquidity, Inspector Dubplate, Skank and Bass, and people that have gone on to become real powerhouses of the scene now. So I'd actually kind of got in that kind of world in my own sort of small way and was trying to do something. And my thing was I was going to do the South Coast of the UK and really focus on that. And I had this kind of ambition to make kind of like a youth media brand kind of thing with events. And I did some event photography and try to go in. But I guess it was also of that time when this sort of thing was quite new. Something like YouTube had not been around for that long.
Yeah.
And like I said, it was a gap in the market. There wasn't so many people doing it. So I just tried to sort of go at it with that, which didn't quite work out. And then I joined another YouTube channel called Capital Drum and Bass, which was the world capital of drum and bass.
Great name.
Which, I mean, looking back at it, I mean, it was basically like, I don't know. It was a guy called Mr. Dub and Bass, another like fantastically named YouTube, like 2011, 12 YouTube channels. Mr. Dub and Bass, who's a fucking lovely guy. Big up Andy. He's not still, again, the guy not still doing it. Like he had a big YouTube channel back in the day, and he had some big ambitions, and he tried to start this Capital brand, which was going to do dubstep, drum and bass, I think electro as well.
UKF
kind of like, it was like UKF knockoff.
Yeah.
Completely, to be honest.
Off-brand UKF.
It was an off-brand UKF. It was a complete off-brand UKF. But I don't know, that's the thing, I was promoting music on YouTube, and I felt restricted by the South Coast of the UK, because I was like, there's a whole world of music out there. And through some reason, he was looking for people to join, and I just put the question out there, because I was like, well, like that means I can promote the entire world of drum and bass. And I was building my knowledge. I was a collector, obviously a DJ myself. I mean, first and foremost, I'm probably as well like an event promoter too. So I've been doing a lot of that by this point as well. And it just all sort of tied in. And like I said, I was then promoting music on YouTube. That didn't quite work out. He kind of lost interest in the scene, and it wasn't my own project either. I think, again, when you sort of join someone else's project, that's the thing. I joined someone else's project who then left, and I was just sort of there, like propping up the whole thing, and just sort of like, again, kind of not letting it die. Or I felt like I was providing a service, though. That's the thing. I was, and for a while, the channel was actually doing quite well. There are there are a number of people that actually remember that channel, and I did try to kind of, like, I don't know, I would say like promote good drum and bass and be known for that. And we, again, there's some really, some tracks that did really well on there. And that gave me the kind of skill set to understand the scene, understand who's where, build up a network of contacts. I was then finding new producers and their music to promote. And then from that was then when the involvement with Lifestyle sort of came in. As I'd been promoting some of their music on the YouTube channel at that point, and then he moved to my town of Horsham. Big up the Horsham crew, RH family. And then it was kind of made sense, and I was kind of like in a position where I'd built up this skill set to work with a record label. And like I said, on the other side of that, I was also an event promoter. I'd been running a lot of drum and bass nights in my own town and being the kind of drum and bass guy. So all of these sort of skill sets all put together, and I'm a graphic designer as well. So I do a lot of, I do all of that side of things as well. and yeah, in a roundabout way,
It all comes together.
in a very sort of brief overview.
Nice.
That was the kind of makings of it. So like I said, it took a long time to kind of even get to that point, and I had certain other things that maybe could have blown up, maybe could have been bigger if they'd have taken another path, but they didn't, and I then sort of changed it. But I think overview really was the first thing that I did that was really truly mine. Probably probably from South Coast Vibes, from when I did that. But when I started South Coast Vibes, I was very young and I was very naive, and I didn't really have the work ethic, to be totally honest with you. I like, it was all about going to parties, and there was, one or two legal things that were happening at that time, which are illegal now, which kind of were like fueling quite a turbulent time. And it just wasn't the right sort of time for that to happen. And then after that, I'd never really truly done something for myself until Overview. So it was kind of like quite freeing in a lot of respects, because I just got to work on it and do what I wanted to again, but also be in a position where I'd been through all this previous stuff. I'd been through failure. I had worked up to that point, built up a skill set and be good at what I was doing. So when the opportunity sort of met, I was able to take the opportunity and be able to expand it, I guess.
Like, clearly there was no way you could have launched Overview 10 years ago. Like, that would have been impossible.
No.
From a like connections in the industry point of view, from a work ethic point of view, from a mindset point of view, like a ton of different stuff, I guess you had to learn through your different projects. No,
100%. You can't just overnight get into that position. You got to work for it, and again, be capable of doing it, because it does require a lot of understanding about so many different moving parts, and be able to be good with time management and keep it all up, and again, you'll be able to work with people, building up those connections, because that's the thing. At the point of obviously starting Overview, I had been in a record label and working for Lifestyle for 4 years, so I had built up great relations with so many great artists, that when I was able to, obviously, when I went to start my own thing, that I was able to sort of rely or pull from that talent pool.
Rely is a good word.
People were more willing to step in, whereas obviously, if
you're nobody, then it's kind of like, why would I race with you?
I mean, it's hard. That is the hard. That's a big difference with, obviously, you do have a lot of record labels starting now, and a lot of people starting, and maybe they think, I want this instant success, and and so is going to sign with me or whatever. But it's hard to, unless you're trusted and people maybe know who you are and are more willing to work with you, that it's not going to be quite as straightforward as getting all of that. So I was definitely in an advantageous place to do it. I sort of likened it to kind of like I was like scaling this mountain, and I got kind of pushed down it, and then I sort of, I could have carried on falling very far, but instead I kind of dug in. So I was already kind of like up the mountain in a way. And it was just then sort of pushing on from there.
That's a great metaphor. I like that.
I have used that one before, but
it felt reused.
It felt reused. Yeah, there's probably a few cliches that I can give you today, but it really did sort of feel like that. I mean, that's the thing. I had this experience, and that's that's the thing. And that's the thing. You people look at it and go, it came out of nowhere, but. It'd been a lot go into that point, but no, it's just been crazy, really. It's just been crazy in terms of of how it's all turned out, and now the kind of path that we're on, and it just seems to be kind of every other sort of week or month or whatever, something kind of would be like, whoa, how is this possible already? But yeah, I don't know. Just I just go with it, I guess, and obviously work very fucking hard as well. Like,
No, obviously, yeah.
sorry, am I allowed to swear on here? Is that?
Yeah, absolutely,
We're not going to get demonetized or something, are we?
You can't get demonetized if you don't have sponsors. So
Okay, all right. Sorry for anyone for the swears. I'll try and be PC today.
No, don't be. But yeah, I was kind of wondering then, based on all those like previous projects, what would you say were some of like the big learnings that you took with you when you started and when you were running Overview? What were some of the learnings that you had where you're like, oh yeah, this time I'm not gonna fuck up in this way or whatever?
Not fuck up it. What way would I? What lessons would I teach? I mean, I think the biggest one. I mean, I think not burning bridges and just trying to be kind of sound with people. I think will definitely really help in the kind of long run. Try to stay out of having problems with other people, I guess. I think the big one really, I think maybe was just the maturing of attitude and realizing that if you are going to actually do something, that you really do have to put in the hours into it, and you can't always just spend your time wishing something's going to happen. You actually have to go out and make it happen and push yourself through that. I think that, like I said, when I was a lot younger, I would say that I was a bit more laissez-faire and a bit maybe a bit lazy with things, and kind of just maybe expect that things happen, but they don't, and you do need to be much more sort of disciplined to really take something to a real high level. Because like I said, I spent a lot of time partying and not to say that I don't, obviously, like it's hard not to when you're involved in drum and bass, but it would be that thing of like,
it's a balance.
That balance, and being like, right, okay, well maybe this weekend I am going to just stay in and work or the shifts that you're going to be putting in, and not just sitting there watching TV or playing your Xbox all the time or whatever. Not to say that that's a bad thing, and I think there's certainly, again, need a balance to it. You can't be there's a point where it can get overwhelming and you can work too much, but in general you do have to work quite a lot and be quite determined to really make something like that happen. I've tried. I think I don't know. I've tried to be a little bit less. How should we say? Kind of agitating people. I think like sometimes I used to be a bit kind of. Some people have thought that I'm controversial, or like I like to kind of like say or do controversial things. Poker things.
Yeah.
I mean, and I still
You're a
do.
poker.
I mean, I am a little bit. I do. But I don't think I'm as bad as I was, and I try to kind of, not try to just annoy people too much. I mean, I'm probably a lot of people will be sitting there saying, now we're going, Pete, what are you talking about? You totally still do that all the time.
For me, it really depends like how you do it, because I really want to talk at some point, or we could do it now, the video you did for the Drum and Bass Arena Awards after finishing third.
I have seen it, yeah.
Oh, fuck okay. Yeah, I've seen it a few times. And just because that's kind of poking fun at a lot of different things, but it's so like well done and well put together, and like obviously to some extent like scripted. I guess you had some ideas of like scenes and stuff you wanted to do, and like it's not just like turning on a camera and ranting, or like, so there's a way to poke fun at people and at things, which I think you do really well. And like the whole marketing aspect of Overview is always also something I want to talk about. But maybe just on that video, like how did that, first of all, if people haven't seen it, go back on Peter's Facebook and go and watch it, because it's also
on the official Overview YouTube channel as well. If you search it, I can't remember, what was it? Salt Fiction.
How to
lose a DMB award.
Yeah.
If you want to go check that out. I don't know totally where that actually kind of came from. I've actually done a few videos before I did I did one a number of people did see, which was a few years ago now, which was about Andy C winning the Drum and Bass Arena Award.
Okay, I didn't see that one.
No, you probably wouldn't have done. I did this stupid video basically because it was when Andy C was winning all the Drum and Bass Arena Awards.
Okay, yeah.
And then I kind of I got this old typewriter in my house, and this idea for this video came along of me like. It was the detective that's actually at the end of Salt Fiction, so he's been a reoccurring character.
Ah, okay.
And he was in this original video. Detective
Is that supposed
Dick
to be? So that's supposed to be Andy C at the end of the.
No, it's not. That's Detective Dick Johnson.
Okay,
basically.
all right. It's just a recurring.
No.
Okay,
Yeah, he's been a recurring character, but his first outing was I did this thing this one year where Andy C basically it was like this conspiracy theory that Andy C was gonna like win the D&B award again. It was like, how's he doing it? And it was like me, like a detective, like trying to work out like, and then in the video I get kidnapped by like a dark shadowy figure, and like it's probably that was very, very close to the bone. And I've never actually ever spoken to Andy C about it. I don't know Andy C personally at all. I've got nothing against Andy C at all. I think he's a great ambassador for D&B. But I don't know. I just wanted to it was just a bit of fun and poking fun at a subject that, got a lot of people kind of talking. And it was very, very close to the bone. I even actually went to the D&B Awards dressed up as the detective and got myself a picture with him.
Oh, shit.
So the whole thing went full circle.
Did he know what was happening? Or?
No, he had no idea. No idea. I went up to him right at the end and like dressed in my thing, and like it's an iconic photo. But so this is the thing. Some people have known me for some of these things that I've done, but so I basically just felt like I had to do something for this year's D&B Awards because it was a big one, and it was a kind of again a controversial sort of subject. The D&B Awards in general are just a very kind of. No, not divisive. Maybe divisive.
I'd say they are. Yeah.
To be honest with you, like, I don't know. I just got this crazy idea. I was like half asleep one morning, and this kind of, I was having this almost like this half, when you're in that half dream like state, and this idea just sort of came to me about how to kind of express a feeling about something, but do it in a constructive way, and do it in a way that would hopefully make people laugh as well. Because there was a part of me that was like, I generally would have loved to have won that award.
Yeah.
It would have really kind of capped off quite it's still an incredible kind of story anyway. But that really would have done amazing. So Chris, if you are watching me, I'm coming for that award, mate. One day I'm going to get that award.
It's still not forgiven.
It's still not forgiven. No, it's fine. But that's the thing, there was like some emotions like that. But then at the same time, like I am genuinely happy that Chris won it and Onyx won it, and I'm not like that's going to like ruin me or define me or whatever. But that was kind of the sort of thinking behind it, and just. Yeah, like, I think that's the thing. Sometimes drum and bass can be a very kind of serious, very serious genre, and take itself very seriously. So, and I've kind of I've always been, I don't know, I've always been into satire and comedy and stuff as well. And not to say like, not to say that you kind of, I'm all about that, and
but it's part
do
of it.
Lots of it. But
I think like if it's part of you, there's no point like erasing it to kind of fit into a mold of what the industry thinks you should be or whatever. Like one guy I love is Winslow, who I don't know like if you've heard of him. He signed.
I know.
And he has a very like strong personality as well, I would say, and very funny in his own style, like almost a bit like awkwardly funny sometimes, and that's like fully him, and he just embraced it fully. And now he's signed to Hospital. Like it's just, I don't know. For me, there's a great message of like just being yourself, and if that's your vibe, obviously like don't openly disrespect people and stuff. But you see what I mean, right?
No, I definitely feel that is intentionally or unintentionally been. I can't help who I am or the kind of person that I am, and I've always been a bit of the kind of clown anyway. Obviously, there is a side to me that wants to be taken seriously as well, and like not just be a complete joke. And that's kind of even more the kind of not ironic thing, but kind of the juxtaposition between like Overview, which obviously has this very kind of serious, like proper, you know, chin stroker D&B kind of like thing. But then also like with me who's sitting there and getting the fucking C, like in, you know, me, you know, I'm bringing that kind of comedy into it. But that's the thing, I can't, you know, I can't change who I am. Sometimes I wish I was cooler. I do sometimes sit here wishing like I was capable of being able to just sort of like be really cool.
Like Dimension.
Well, you know, there's a lot of people in D&B that are like, and are genuinely very cool. That's the thing. Like, it's like, yeah, the kind of.
But
like
you can't fake it.
Type. You can't fake it. Some people have that. So that's just some people. That's just them. Like, and you can maybe try to be it. And I'm sure some of these people probably, when you really get to know them, probably are not as.
But people can sense it. You know, like people can see through it if it's like not authentic or whatever. Like they can, and it goes the other way. If you're trying to be really funny. It's just not you. People are going to see it and be like, "Why are you posting these stupid memes?" It's like,
and I think that's it. And I think that you do need that. I think that's part of, trying to find what is your authentic self and being that, and that will help your art be better. You can't try to pretend to be something you're not. But it's just about trying to find that and find. It's about finding yourself, you know?
Exactly, so, man.
You know, it's about spending time doing it.
But just to come back on the video, because again, I love it. It's great. And at the start, it's like just pure funny, because you're like waiting for the results to fall and you're like really pumped up and stuff. And then it falls into this like drama, which is almost like emotional of like you start drinking and you're girlfriend leaves you, and at this point like I love watching movies and I tend to like analyze movies a lot, and I'm a bit of a nerd for that, and I was looking at it and I felt like it was almost this like meta commentary on people like taking awards too seriously, almost of like you start drinking and your life totally falls apart because you didn't finish first, which is like in the end who cares, like you finished third, that's
first world
awesome.
Problems
exactly. And it almost felt like a commentary as well as like humor and drama, and that was just my take on it. Like I just watched it this afternoon again, and I just loved it.
Oh well, I mean, I'm glad. I mean, the reception to it was really good. I mean, I have to admit that when I was walking around Brighton, dressed up with my camera guy, there was a few times where I had to check myself and was like, Pete, mate, is this really is this really a good idea? And I sent a few screenshots into like some group chats. Because people didn't know what I was doing, because I was just like, I'm doing this video, and they were like, oh no, Pete's doing the fucking video again. What's he fucking doing? And I sent a few screenshots in, and if you see the screenshots with, again, like I think we spoke a little bit earlier about things taken out of context. If you probably took some of those screenshots out of context and didn't know why that was, people are like, Pete, you can't do this. You can't do this. Like, because for people who don't know, that there is a scene where I'm actually made homeless because my life basically has been ruined, and then I'm begging on the street for a D&B award. I mean, I did feel it was. I have to admit, even that I was a bit like, damn, like this is very close to the bone. But yeah, maybe there was a commentary on it. I mean, I'm not sure that I necessarily went to make a commentary. I guess I wanted to make but I think it actually then has that theme in it, and because there are some there's some truths in it, but then also it's just very over the top. But it was again a bit of fun in a way, and just a way to sort of express myself on something. I did my actual ambition was to be a Hollywood film director when I left.
Really?
When I left college. This is again how ridiculous my ambitions are sometimes. Like I have to admit that I am the kind of person that will just like just aim for the sky in a way. But my ambition after leaving school after it was year 6 going into college. I went to art college, did like media, and like my friend that I was with at the time, his uncle worked in Hollywood. He was yeah, it wasn't like a proper film director. He'd done a few things. He was a director, and it was like, oh yeah, like I was really obsessed with movies. That was probably that kind of. I used to collect a lot of DVDs, and I've always loved cinema and storytelling and that kind of thing. And yeah, my ambition was to be a Hollywood film director. Unfortunately, it hasn't quite worked out yet. It hasn't worked out yet. There's still time. There is still time. Maybe
you just
I've
need
got
to
to write a good script. Maybe.
Just need to shop around with that video. I'm sure somebody will notice it.
Maybe. But you can probably see a little bit in it.
No, definitely, yeah. Because again, like I love watching a bit like more like off the wall movies and like black and white stuff and like not your conventional type of movies. And there were a few shots in your video, not to bang on it for like ever, but there were a few nice shots like black and white, nicely centered. And stuff that I would tend to notice, and I was like, "Yeah, not bad, Pete, not bad,
not bad." all I need to do, I mean, my kind of, I do want to do more of it. Like I haven't pushed myself as much with it as I probably could or I could have done. I think there's reasons why I've sort of like come through with these things every so often. Again, it's about pushing yourself and about pushing yourself out your comfort zone and doing something when you really are not like with that video. I didn't have a lot of time. I was umming and erring about even doing it, and I really had to push myself out my comfort zone and do something that was very different and uncomfortable at times. Even though it came together in the end, very like it went fine. Like we shot it in like 3 hours and edited it quickly. It came together quickly. But I guess it's that thing of pushing yourself out your comfort zone, and I have tried to be good at that. But I would like to do a bit more of that kind of thing. I don't know, because I've got a bit lazy, to be honest with you. Like I do my podcast and I do my sort of like guest interview series as well. Just to plug,
Go for it.
Plug that the Overviewed series and the Overview Music podcast if you haven't already seen the podcast. So I've been doing some of that stuff for a while, and obviously I put myself online and I put my face out there. And I certainly have done a lot more in the last year, I think. I feel like I'm someone that people probably recognize and go, I swear that guy's like something to do with drum and bass, but they don't really know who I am. They're like, who is this guy? Or, or something like, oh, that's something to do with Overview, or maybe, maybe people were obviously knowing that. But it's not like I don't know, I could put myself out even more to another level of, maybe doing more sort of short skits. I know TikTok is obviously like a massive thing now. And if you do have the ability to be able to bring that to your brand,
TikTok feels like it was.
Sounds a bit like
TikTok feels like it was built for you, to be honest. Like it kind of fits like your, like short skits and kind of funny satire and.
It probably would. And to be honest with you, it has been a thought of mine to do for a while. Again, I haven't pushed myself out of my comfort zone. I haven't like really sat down and like really tried to come up with a content plan. I'm a little bit like, I am a bit older now. It is a very young person's like platform, but I actually find myself on TikTok quite a bit now, to be honest, because it is just like very, very addictive and very sort of quick fire content. And it seems to be the platform where like it's really happening at the moment in a way. So I probably should, but I don't know. We're sort of, I've just got to like.
It's kind of a mental bridge to kind of cross and step into it.
Yeah, maybe. But again, it's that thing of like, I probably could, but maybe I'm a bit like unsure, or again, focusing my time. That's the thing. We've got so many things.
Yeah, you can't do it all. Yeah.
So many things going. Yeah, you can't do it all. But then maybe you've got to look at, okay, what could actually really help you maybe. But I don't know. Maybe I'm not destined to be a TikTok star. I don't know. Maybe I'm just going to like, I don't know. I don't know.
You never know if you don't try. Yeah.
No, I don't know. I would like to, sometimes I feel I would like to almost go a bit more further than drum and bass, but I don't know quite how that looks in a way. I have thought of it before, because I love drum and bass, and I mean it's providing me with a career now, and I'm really thankful. But the drum and bass world is also just a small kind of like part of it, and there's a whole world out there. I don't know with stuff to do. like say like maybe something getting into something like film would be cool.
Yeah,
one day, but I don't know.
That's what I was thinking of also watching the Salt Fiction video, because it was like nicely scripted and edited and filmed and all of that, is because you did a music video for, I forget which track it was now, with the like 14 MCs on it. Sorry, I completely blanking on it now.
It was the Cusp, MCSAS, DRS, Patch Edison, and Fox on one track. That was it. Black Mirror. That's
the one. Where you had you also did this just yourself, like kind of frozen in front of your TV, like to kind of promote the clip. I think that was part of it. And
yeah. Well, you got a good memory. You got a good knowledge.
I did a bit of research today.
Okay, right. Yes, prepared. I like it.
But so what I was also thinking, looking back at that video that you made for Drum Bass Arena Awards, was like, wouldn't you want to move more towards music videos as well? Because you did that one for Black Mirror, for example, and from what I saw, it had a great reception and made quite the rounds. So I don't know if that was something you were thinking about also for upcoming releases, to maybe not systematically, but do more music videos, for example.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the one thing with music videos is they are incredibly expensive if you want to like do one properly. If you kind of know people maybe within the industry or have access to good equipment. I mean, sometimes it's also that thing of an idea you could use. There are music videos out there that cost peanuts, but you've got a really, really clever idea and it's really well executed. You can get something really amazing out of it. I don't know. I do have one idea for one video next year that I would like to do, but we've got this. I don't know if I can reveal too much. I don't know. It's again a stupid idea.
Up to you.
No, we got this track called Bleep Test coming out, and obviously you got like the classic bleep, the beep test that you used to do in school. So my idea was I wanted to get like all of a load of the overview roster in and do like some like beep test video.
Is that the one where you're running and you have to reach a line before a beep?
Yeah, you got like the beep. And
gotcha.
And it gets quicker.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And I'd almost like do some like slow motion, like really dramatic.
Like a Squid Game type, like they're running.
Something like that.
That'd be cool. Yeah,
that would be really cool. I would. That is, if I had one thing I would like to do next year. But again, it's like one of those ideas. I'm like, in theory, in my head, this could be amazing.
It could turn out shit as well.
Oh, well, or it's just also like it's more like the logistical nightmare and extra work and like getting that all together would be quite a job, and also would probably also cost quite a lot of money. And it's also that kind of like weighing up. There's a problem obviously with drum and bass. I mean, there is money to be made in it, but it's not like you're not competing on the level of a major record label.
No, definitely.
And some of the money that can be made, where obviously that's the thing. If you do a music video for a drum and bass release, like that's all your money gone. Like if not more, you would probably a lot of people, if they're doing that kind of thing, will probably end up really paying out their own pockets to do it. Because that's obviously, if you're going to do something with a high budget and obviously the amount of money that's even possible to be made in drum and bass, that's the kind of sad reality of it. But I don't know. There's always these, there's always these things. And I don't know. Like I said, I like to, it's like doing more proper record label stuff. You see music videos, record labels. Been trying to do a lot of vinyl recently, and getting to that sort of thing. But I feel like I'm learning lessons on that all now as well, in a way.
The financial aspect.
Probably the financial aspect being probably one of the biggest ones, because it's all these, again, it's all great having all these great ideas and getting really carried away. And like we did this one with Degs. We did the music video with Degs and stuff last year, and we went out to like some country manor estate, and it was a great weekend and whatever. But again, if you were to keep on trying to do that every month, like, your business, you're not going to have much of a business left after it. So trying to pick and choose your battles, and that's then maybe the next kind of level of the ladder that I've just gone up, and now what I'm now learning is now that kind of, when you're dealing with these kind of things and dealing with things that are going to cost more money and big boy record label stuff. You know, big vents. You know, there's a lot of people reliant on us now, and yeah, it's kind of like stepping up. So these are like the new sort of challenges that we're trying to sort of. Because I think I did get very carried away last year, to be honest with you.
With that video, with the Black Mirror one, or
well, we did a couple of videos. We've sort of like tried to do a lot of vinyl, and like, and then it's kind of like it's and it's all like a lot of it is again like stuff to investment or whatever.
Yeah, there isn't a clear return on it.
Yeah, and like how much you got to promise or how much you can handle. Like that's the thing. Like without kind of. You could have, not without going pop or, you know, I mean, not to say like I'm not like saying I'm like in some overviews in some like desperate situation now. No, spend all his money on music videos.
You do have to be careful.
Yeah, I don't know. You do. Like, you know, we've had some very, very sort of successful times, should we say? Like the last, especially 2020 in the lockdown, like we were sort of selling quite an incredible amount of music, to be honest, and. You know, and obviously with that then opened up the ability to be like, right, okay, well, we will do music videos, we will do vinyl, like the doors are being open, but then you just got to like, be careful. You're not going to be like, because it also was that thing of, well, once you do one music video for someone, then obviously all these other people are like, ooh, you did a music video for them. I want that on my release as well. Or vinyl. I would like vinyl on my release as well. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, shit. Like, and you've got this kind of, this juggling act of prioritizing and keeping people happy and what you can get away with and whatever. That's the fun part.
It's just that video for Black Mirror, as you said, like it was really professional looking, like it looked like it belonged on MTV or one of the huge labels.
Well, the guy that did it actually works for Channel 4 and stuff like that.
Okay.
He was a contact that was through MCSAS. And so he actually came up with his whole concept. I mean, that was really, really kind of like
that's top-notch stuff.
Top-notch sort of level sort of thing. And I would like to do it, but again, it's trying to come because I don't know. Again, with that track, I just felt like it really needed something to go with it because it had such a powerful message and. Obviously, all of these artists, you know, having DRS and Fox, you know, on it and on a track, and you really obviously want to, I don't know, it felt like it had to do it. And I guess it's, you know, it's finding those projects that you really feel like need it or it would really work with it. And again, this was probably the same thing with the Degs track as well, because again, you had Degs and Dusky, two very big artists. I mean, especially Degs, and he's a longtime friend of mine, Degs as well. We grew up together in our town of Horsham, so for his first release on the label, it's like, right, well, you know, it'd be great to do something like that, and we got an UKF off the back of it, so it was like really, you know, that was really worth it. Do you know what I mean? And it's just trying to pick and choose your battles, I guess. And that being the kind of fun thing.
I think it's definitely the kind of stuff that's worth it, because again, when I saw that video for Black Mirror, it kind of really made me like, oh wow, like I've never seen this for a small-ish label, underground, techie type of label, this like huge production set almost. And I was like, okay, like you had, what is it? You had my curiosity, now you have my attention kind of stuff. Like, okay, now I'm really following you guys. And I think, from time to time, doing these kind of over the top, not over the top, but more going the extra mile, it gets people to pay attention and be like, okay, these guys mean business, and you kind of get them in for the ride almost.
All right, I'll take note. I'm definitely going to do this next music video then, because it's going to be good. It's going to be so good. Damn! I think I can get on the case of that now.
I think it has potential. If you had made that one, the beep one, during the Squid Game like hype mania, that would have been like spot on. Because that train has kind of like
fully viral. I think it's still. I do think the idea actually does have potential to go.
And if you have a track, or like you already have the track, so it doesn't matter. But if you had a track about like being in the rat race of life or something, and then you have people like running back and forth, and they could be this whole message. But anyway, I'm getting carried away now.
I think the thing is as well is we have this track, and I'll be honest with you, like I think it's one of like our kind of. I think it'll be one of our biggest tracks of this year when it comes. Like the reaction that we've been seeing to it at the moment has been like crazy.
Can you say who's it by or
Nope.
no? Okay, all right, no
Nope.
problem.
No, no one. Well, people, if you know,
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. Some people know. A lot of people don't. But we've got quite a good act that are kind of going to be joining us, and this is going to be their first kind of outing, and we're kind of really going all out. I think we're going to do like a vinyl release for it. No, we are going to do a vinyl release for it. Not I think, and talking about doing this music video. But like I said, the track as well is like just I don't know. Again, when I've been doing this a while, and you kind of some things you can kind of tell. You'd be like, look, you've got a really good track here. So we just again, I feel like it would really just make the project even more, pop even more in a way. So we'll see what happens. What happens. I'm gonna have to now.
You were talking a bit before about obviously the success you've had with Overview, and in that article in Downloads and Reloads in 2020 it was, or 2020 I think, you were the third best-selling label on Beatport, which is like insane. And I wanted to ask you this is probably a curveball, but if you had to rank these by order of importance to run a successful label, so I've got here quality of tunes, getting along with the artists, the artwork, your connections in the industry, and then the whole marketing aspect. If you had to rank those from like the most important to the less important one.
I'm not sure. Like, it's difficult to say. I mean, to be honest with you, I think that fundamentally the quality of the music probably is the first thing. If I was to say on that list, I think that it can be difficult to say rank some of those things, because I think it's a case of each aspect helps another aspect. So you may have one, but if you don't have the other, then it's going to be hard for that thing to be successful. I'm gonna give you a politician's answer on that one.
They're all important.
They're all important. They're all important to me. I think relationships with the artists do go a long way. I would obviously say the marketing and promotion as well, to be honest with you, because I do think that is very important. And how your ability to be able to spread and garner attention to something. It's that old adage of you know, a tree falls in the wood, but no one around to hear it. And I think it's the same thing with a quality tune. You could have a quality tune, but you could go upload that to Bandcamp tomorrow, not push it anywhere. How the fuck's anyone going to hear it? I can't remember what the other two. I can't remember.
So the artwork, getting along with your artists, connections in the industry, marketing, and quality of tunes.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. They're all really important, and they're all really important to me. They are like I do really. I think that's just the one thing is trying to pride yourself on all of that. I think because I think it's the complete package. It's about how many of these things that you can have, and I think they all feed into each other. So it's difficult to put it into what is more important than another. I mean, I think I'd say that the quality of the music probably goes above artwork. Really, if we're just like breaking it down to like what is going to make a successful tune, like what is going to make a great tune, and make something successful in that way. But I do think that it obviously still matters, because you can have great music that can have terrible artwork. Like it's not like, but I feel that a lot of great music has great artwork because the artists are really care about the full package and really care about every aspect of what they do. And I feel I do try to implement that kind of philosophy with Overview in terms of really trying to do as much as we can for each individual release and bringing so many sort of different aspects to that product that it all totals up, and it all is going to give that track and give that release the best chance possible to be successful. Don't always get it right. Some things are, but then you can get caught up in stats and
this
and
one did
whatever.
well because we did this type of artwork and blah blah blah, and then
and some of those things are hard to quantify, and necessarily, again, it's like, well, what are you really in it for, and trying to understand that, because you can do just a lot of things that are kind of very soulless and very just trying to be as big as possible or as loud as possible or whatever, but necessarily, and like that's the thing, like some of the really another, it's a bit of a cliche of people, some artists, when they look back at their favorite music or whatever, like even when I look back at some of my favorite releases are not always the most kind of like financially successful or charted as well as was some of those other things, but they're very special to me. And for in a number of factors as well, with the artist or whoever, or just really, really love that music. You can't always put it down to put it down to hard stats and record sales. Sometimes, it's important still. Like, it's nice to be successful, and it obviously helps open up doors and breeds the kind of success to keep some momentum going. But you just, I try not to sort of just focus on making what you do good and putting in a good amount of time to it. And really, if you sit there at the end of a release cycle or whatever and really go, we really gave this our best shot, and we really did as much as we could to make it, give it as best chance as we could to be successful, then that's what's important for me, and knowing that you can really be honest with yourself and go, I really put in the work here, I really and everybody's happy with it, and that's for me what is going to breed the success, really, if that makes sense.
That was I feel like you're running for president, but
I mean, public speaking actually does. I did my first. We did a education and base. I don't know if you're familiar with those guys.
Is that the thing in November?
Rotations as well. The Bristol lot. Education and base is like an education sect, and rotations are like a Bristol community kind of collective run where Rue from Revo is quite big in there. And anyway, I did like a talk how to run a record label. Me and Ollie did it as well. Probably should I do it this whole time. I tell you what, this whole time I've not even mentioned Ollie once. I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry, Ollie. Hello, Ollie. If anyone didn't know as well, Ovi's not just me. It's not just me. It is also Ollie Subantics as well, who's been it wouldn't have been able to do it without him, and Ovi wouldn't be what it is today without him as well. Just to remind you, Ollie. Big up, Ollie. But we did a really good talk actually, and that was quite a fun experience, just to kind of like stand up in front of people. So maybe I will. Maybe I'll get into like maybe that'll be my next step. Maybe politics will be the. I could just go. I'll go. Although actually, I don't want to be one of those joke politicians. Though I don't want to be like, get like so and so's running for prime minister, like Kanye West. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
actually be serious.
The Rock.
yeah. I mean, well, some of those obviously Arnold Schwarzenegger, did get into into it as well. So it's maybe not to say that you just to be whatever. But I don't know. Maybe I could. But I do like a good rant. I do like a good speech. I do like standing on my soapbox, and that's why I do podcasts. I'm sure it must be for yourself as well. That's why you kind of do it. You just.
Yeah, I
like the sound of my own voice.
I try not to talk too much, because if I'm talking too much, then I'm not doing a good job. But I just love having chats with people. Like I'm just here to listen to people's stories, really. So that's what I'm interested in. But
I think it's really good actually. I think obviously I hit you up to do it, but because there's not too many. I don't think there is anything else really in drum and bass of this nature.
There's a few that started, but like Workforce did 5 or 6 episodes last year, and the Amen Brother guys, so that's John Galaxy and Poland Bryson and Vision Obi started one exactly when I started mine actually, so that was like September 2020 I think, 2020. But they did like 5 or 6 episodes as well. So
Tell you what, give it 5 years, and there's gonna be so many D&B podcasts. I reckon all the kids coming through.
Yeah.
I do think so, because I do some of the things that we've kind of done. So, like I said, like I do my own podcast and do the interview series. I've been so, like, even if it's not some of the most viewed content on Overview, I've actually been so I love actually doing that, and I think that they've been a really amazing aspect to our label, because
definitely
people actually get to talk to, they get to see these people and kind of connect with them. And some people, I know some people, maybe some people there are negatives to that or whatever. Maybe there's a bit of mystique is lost or whatever. But I don't know. This is the technology's here.
Fuck mystique, honestly. People want to connect with people. Like, honestly, like if I know more about an artist, I'm way more likely to listen to their music and to stay a fan when I know more about their life and why they make music, how they got into it, and all that stuff. So yeah, I think that's the case for most people.
No, I think so too. And I've had a few comments of people that have really, appreciated that aspect. And if you are a real fan of what we do, we can offer that in a way, and it adds a new depth to the project. And I'm surprised more people aren't doing it. I mean, again, it's, as you're probably finding out as well, not everyone likes to be in front of a camera. Not everyone likes to kind of like,
talk about themselves.
I mean, that's maybe the thing as well. And maybe that's why someone like yourself is kind of like, up and running. And because you said, it's taking up 75% of your time to do this podcast. I'm not gonna lie, like I know, doing my own podcast, I mean, it's probably not on the same frequency as you, but I know how much it, how involved it can be. And obviously a lot of these guys in the scene, like say some of the guys that you kind of listed, they're more worried about making the music.
No,
really.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
To then obviously like do something like this, because of the time that it requires and the logistical kind of planning and whatever. But I do feel like more, again, maybe more people will come through with this kind of content. I mean, it's like that, like I said, I mean, I'm half joking, but I'd also do half think it's probably true. I mean, I only look back at, say, YouTube channels back in 2010. Now you've got like, there's so many YouTube channels promoting D&B or record labels. I know the fact, you go back a number of years, and there is so many record labels now because technology is opening things up. So I wouldn't be surprised if, every man and their dog will have a D&B podcast.
Well, it feels like because I've been listening to podcasts forever before, like drum and bass and all that, and it feels like everybody already had a podcast. And I was kind of looking at drum and bass and thinking like, how has nobody done it for drum and bass? Because I love listening to drum and bass, and I know, like, I'm not one to read articles. I know UKF do a ton of articles and backstories and stuff, but my friends, people I know, we just don't read articles. That's just not something we do. And so I was like, this is kind of a no-brainer. Like, why isn't anybody doing that? And then there's a few others that started in lockdown, but as you say, it does take a lot of time, and I have the privilege of not being an established artist, so I can choose to do the podcast and then music if I have enough time, which suits me fine.
Whereas if you're again, you're an established artist, and all of a sudden you're going to be off touring, touring the world.
Exactly.
You get back and you'll be like, oh fuck it, I've got to like do all of this, and different things for different people. But no, honestly, hats off. I think it's really it's really cool to see. Cool to see it happening, and you got my full support.
Yeah, appreciate it. I was really.
I'll try not to start my own one to compete with you. I promise.
No. Honestly, I'd love. I've said this before. I'd love that if there would be more podcasts like mine, because usually people, when they find out that a podcast exists, they try and find others. Like I'm a huge fan of rugby. I listen to like 5 different podcasts about rugby.
Interesting.
It's not like I'm just listening to one. So I feel sometimes because I'm the only one, people don't know that it exists,
Yeah.
And so I'm like just fighting this fight by myself.
I think again, it's like, I think it's just going to take a bit of time.
Yeah, absolutely.
That kind of thing, like these. And to be honest with you, like, I do feel like, I think that I think there's much more satisfaction I've found in taking your time with something and it building up naturally, and then kind of like having a sort of real success. Whereas, yes, you can have success very early on and whatever, but I think there's something in the kind of it taking a bit of time and being a bit more humble about certain things, maybe. Rather than just sort of like flinging in. So, look, man, I'm sure, like, keep at it, keep knocking on the door. Do you know what I mean? And keep on getting people behind it. But I do think in general, like you're right. Like in terms of like you look at a lot of other scenes or a lot of other industries and kind of content that people are providing. I know that sounds again very corporatized.
No, yeah.
But drum and bass doesn't have as much, and there isn't as much like media in D&B.
And there's so much room to do stuff. I was chatting with Winslow the other night because I have these other ideas for YouTube and content on YouTube and stuff like that exists in other types of music. Like I'm a huge heavy metal fan, and like react videos or stuff like that, like listening, and it doesn't have to be.
There is D&B Reacts. I don't know if you've seen D&B Reacts.
No, I haven't. Which one is that?
Maybe check them out. I'll pick up the D&B Reacts. Actually.
I've seen a few like super cringy one, but not from like D&B people, like people outside of D&B reacting to like a D&B tune, and it's like over cringe. But anyway, along those lines, there's a ton of content and stuff you could do on YouTube that's been done in other music genres, and I don't know. I feel there's a huge gap for people to
exploit that gap
to do media around drum and bass. I feel it's not such a small community. Like there's you look at some artists and they have like 500,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. It's not like tiny either, So I don't know. Yeah.
I think it's just probably partly a generational thing, and because I think like a lot of D&B is still kind of like you've got a lot of the kind of because it's been around for such a while now, and you've got a lot of these kind of
the heads,
the heads and the guys that these labels have been around for 20 years, and some of these guys, and obviously some of this stuff is all quite new, and there's a different these technologies again, like being able to talk on Zoom wasn't a thing 5 years ago. I mean, you get Skype or whatever, now to be able to stream it, you could pop it onto OBS and stream it directly onto and all this stuff just wasn't possible. So it is obviously going to be these next generations. I mean, I'm scared of what's going to happen with the next lot coming up, to be honest with you, like because
after TikTok, you mean?
yeah all this stuff that we're talking about, all these kids are just going to be, it's just going to be very natural for them getting into this position, and then they'll probably see a few people like us doing these things and be like, okay, we could do this as well, I can, this is more than possible. So it's exciting, and then, but that's the thing, I think because of the nature of D&B and
that's a good
what's
point,
happened. But it really, I don't know, it does obviously it has its like waves of coming in and out and whatever, but it does feel like there's been a lot more people getting involved in drum and bass in the last sort of number of years. I mean, it is kind of growing in a way, and obviously worldwide, from being it is still a very UK thing, but there's now a lot of other countries that are kind of starting to, their scenes are really starting to expand. New Zealand being probably one of the, being the biggest example of a country that like it's just mental how big D&B is over there. I mean, I've not been personally, but I can see my Spotify stats and
oh really?
Like things like Spotify or SoundCloud or whatever, and like Auckland and Christchurch are constantly in like the top cities, rivaling
amazing.
Bristol and Manchester and London and whatever. And it's just like, I mean, that's the crazy thing about New Zealand, right? Is the fact that it's only a population of like 4 million, but like everybody listens to D&B out there.
That's crazy.
So you've actually got a country that has like the highest kind of per capita drum and bass listener. A lot of people listen to D&B in the UK,
but it's huge.
If you were actually to take a percentage of all 60 million people, whereas if you were to take a percentage in New Zealand, they are like they'd be off the Richter scale. But it's interesting how why that's happened, and showing what could be possible in the future, I guess, if it kind of takes hold in other countries.
I thought it was popular there just because it was like one of the first countries to reopen after the pandemic. And so all the DJs were flying to New Zealand, and you saw all these festivals popping off in New Zealand. I thought that was just why it was popular there.
No. I think, I mean, DMB has been going over to New Zealand for 20 years, 25 years, since and Australia as well. Like, they've got people over there that have been promoting drum and bass for years. So it's been there for a long time. And you've obviously had a lot of people kind of starting to come through. It's definitely not a recent thing. It's been a progress. I mean, obviously, I think history is the fact that New Zealand and Australia,
British colonies,
colonies. Do you know what I mean? And then you've got that probably having an effect. The fact that they obviously look to the UK as looking for tastes compared to some other countries maybe. But it's interesting that did happen there. It'd be interesting to know what the kind of
somebody should do a study about that
explanation. Yes, if someone is watching out there, we want a thesis on why is drum and bass so popular in New Zealand.
A per capita ratio across the world of drum and bass listeners.
Like it is weird that it just really really took off there. In as much as compared to other places, like America is not that. It's not. I mean, it's big. There is a lot of Americans that listen to drum and bass out there, but it's nowhere near pierced the kind of mainstream of American culture.
No, probably because they got so much stuff there already. I don't know, like from country to hip hop. There's so many well-established cultures that emerged in the US. There maybe just isn't room for one more imported. Especially British.
I don't know why exactly it hasn't. I think is a lot of anybody's guess. Again, maybe it's cultural.
But at the same time, it's bigger than it's ever been. I think when I see like the new artists and lineups happening in the US, it's definitely bigger than it's ever been. But it's maybe unreasonable to think that it's going to get as big as.
Because Ireland's got a bit of an interest. Because like that's what I mean. Like again, because Ireland does kind of have a scene, but it's not.
Yeah, but
massive
off of the UK, I think. Yeah, like
because I did go to Dublin just before lockdown. Went out with Bowie with Adam from
Bowie Audio.
Bowie Audio. We did a night. I can't remember what the club was in Dublin. Really good night, actually. I had a really, really good time. But he was, even talking about, and again, even like that scene, like you used to have like some really big parties like a number of years ago. Then it sort of quietens down. Obviously, there's still people there doing things, but it's not capable of supporting big tours or whatever. There's not the audience there. But why? Why? I don't know.
A lot of that was actually like regulation and legal stuff from the government, like shutting. I had Keen 0T on the show last year.
If anyone would know,
it would be him. Yeah, because he obviously is Irish and started his career in Ireland before moving to the UK, and he was saying that it's a lot of like alcohol laws and bars having to close at a certain time and nightclubs having to close at a certain time and the laws changing in whatever year it was, I forget. And a lot of that played into nightclubs having to close and just the industry kind of just falling apart.
Wow.
So that's a very like straightforward reason.
It makes total sense. And maybe that would explain something like New Zealand, like if they have got very kind of like liberal laws where they're not so the clubs are allowed to shut later. That's a big problem. I mean, I remember that from the gig that we did there. I think we had to end at 3, I think, and I know some people will be like, end it at 3, but at Volks in Brighton,
we're
going till 7 a.m. And that's the thing. At 3 o'clock, you're like, we still got a few more hours left, but. So again, these different factors definitely do play in. I guess. I don't know how we got onto a social political
I don't know.
discussion
No
on
idea.
the Irish
That's the
Irish laws.
That's the sign of a good discussion. Usually, it's like, how did we start? But yeah, without dragging it too much, I am going to bring this slowly to a close. I want to close off with a few questions from Patreon. If you want to, no, it's easy questions. Don't worry.
Okay, go on then.
If you guys want to support the show on Patreon, you can get to ask questions to my guests. So Harry was asking, in your view, how has the sound of Overview changed since starting it 3 years ago?
Oh, that is a personal question. He's gone for me right there, Harry.
Straight at it.
How's the sound of? I think that we've definitely sort of tried a few different things in the last sort of year to what I think was more like Overview sounding drum and bass. Obviously, I think we still try to keep it within the same realm, like not go too far off. I think it still needs to fit, but we've maybe put out a few more things that are not the kind of classic Overview kind of sound that we got kind of very known for. Funny enough, we did one of the last releases we did was Wings, Analog Dreams, Negative Space, which was just a very, very kind of classic Overview.
That's I was going to say that's the pure Overview sound, but then you had the Ruben EP that just came out, which for me was like, oh whoa, interesting, a lot more soulful, to use that word.
yeah. I mean that's the thing. Fundamentally, like I'm at the mercy of what the producers make in a lot of respects.
Yeah.
Like I'm not always like specifically going out for a kind of sound. I look to work with people, and it's like, well, what are they going to come with? I'm not always totally sure what they might. Like Wings has come through. You came through before last year and wanted to do a Liquid EP. Clinical wants to come in and do a Liquid EP coming up. That's the thing. I'm not always totally in control. I mean, obviously, I could turn around and say no, I don't want it. But for me, if it's a good tune and I like it and I feel that it can still work, that I'm not going to just not sign it because it's not minimal tech. So I think maybe that has probably been the biggest evolution. But I don't know. Part of me also I don't know. I just also want to make sure that we don't sort of stray too far away from the sound that we're kind of known for and the sound that I fundamentally really love. But also I can't just force that music out of people in a way.
But I think that's the good thing with working with the same artists as well, is that if Clinical wants to do a Liquid thing, it's not going to sound like Don Wall or something. It's still going to sound a bit techie, and the drums are going to sound techie, and it just probably won't have a huge foghorn bass on the drop, but and that's the stuff I loved with the Ruben EP, because I'm definitely more of a Liquid guy, and it still had the Overview sound because the drums were still very clicky, and you had some nice moving basses and stuff like that, but it was just a bit more mellow, like a bit of a different direction, but in the same universe, I guess. Yeah, no, and I think that's the important thing. I think that probably one of the other big sort of another change has been probably then Ollie Subantic's kind of more involvement as well. I think because when we first started, it was kind of fully mostly me doing a lot of the sourcing of the music, and now I've got Ollie obviously also in there as well. So I think that probably has some influence as well, because he does have a bit more of a he kind of likes, he's a bit more kind of he got known for for Foghorn rollers and stuff through his sort of stuff, and not to say that he's fully just that or whatever, but he maybe likes a bit more of that kind of dancey, harder sort of sound that's not always just minimal edge. And I think as his more involvement, I think that's also kind of had a change in the sound, as well as. But I think I've always tried to, like we say, keep it within the same universe. But it's it's been an interesting kind of evolution of it, I guess. Just talk about sourcing then, because Harry was also asking, now that Overview's been around for several years and has a core group of artists, do you actively look for new artists to work with, or are you listening to demos through the artists that you already have, and maybe they filter out stuff for you? Like, how does that work?
I mean, again, like if an artist is good enough and catches my attention and makes amazing music and wants to release it with Overview, I wouldn't turn it down. I think things have changed in as much as we do have kind of a very established kind of roster now of people that I do want to work with, that it's just, I would say it's just a lot more challenging to get on Overview in a way, because you've got to be able to kind of compete with the likes of Wings or Gyrofield or Clinical or whatever, which in my opinion, always, we've got all these, got so many talented guys, sorry to anyone that I've like not mentioned there as well.
No.
I'm blessed to work with so many amazing people, but that's the thing. It's like, we all need, that music needs to get on that level.
That's the standard,
it's tough. It's a tough level to reach. So we're not kind of like, I don't know, I'm not constantly looking for more people, I guess. Like that's not the biggest priority. Like I said, I think it's still important to keep it fresh, and I don't want to be like completely lock it off.
Rotating the same artist all the time.
Yeah, there's a point of rotation, and we have introduced, like I'd say, Yano, is someone that's kind of now come on board. He's got his next release with us after the EP. Someone like Operate. As I said, we've got a couple of other people that are going to be, coming on this year. East Colors was a recent one as well. So there is room, room there, but yeah, I do want to kind of keep it sort of compact and have this really solid roster, because again, it's also about offering opportunities, and we put so much into our projects, and there's only so much of that to go around without kind of spreading too thin or having too many people. I think some you can oversign people, and then you're not really, people don't know quite who you are. And as well, to keep your roster happy, because we've got all these bookings and shows coming in that I want to try and keep it as fair as I possibly can. It's really hard. It's really hard to do. To be like, right, okay, we're able to offer, a good amount of shows to everybody. And obviously we've only got a certain amount of release time as well. So we really are getting to that point where it's not the biggest priority. But it's not to say that it's completely beyond the realms. It's just we have set the bar very high.
That's a great place to be in. Like to not have to look actively for music is like quite an achievement in itself.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, the next pain is just trying to get music out of the people that you want it from in a way. And moving up the kind of ladder brings its own sort of new challenges, and things change in that respect. But in general, it's it is a good place to be. I'm definitely not complaining about it.
Yeah, I think that's a great place to leave it at, man.
Okay, I've got to go.
I'll let you be.
I probably should mention, actually, we're doing. I need to plug it. I don't want to be like. I don't know,
this is your plug. This is your plug moment.
This is my
anyway,
plug section.
Yeah.
I'm just about to go do. We're doing an overview mentorship, basically, that we've been doing for the last. Last sort of like six months, I think, something like that. We wanted to. It was kind of an idea from someone on the team to do a mentorship program for female drum and bass producers. So we've been running these like bi-weekly lessons where a guest artist will come in, kind of like EQ50. It's like EQ50 light in a way. Big up EQ50. Like I don't know. I just wanted to like do something to kind of give something back and help out. Because
you can't do too much of that anyway. So.
No, exactly. So that's what I'm about to go do now. We've actually got Kyrist teaching the lesson tonight. So
nice
that should be good. But what have I got to plug? What haven't I got to plug? Let's get my long list. Let's get my long list.
Releases.
My long list out here. What have we got to plug?
What the hell is that?
This is my stickers for sending abroad.
Oh, okay.
I actually this is the thing about Overview. Obviously Ollie's in there as well, but we are just like a 2-man band.
You did mention him once, so just
I did mention, and he's now getting another mention as well. We are a 2-man band, pretty much doing everything ourselves. I send all of the merch out. I do a lot of the events. Yeah. I'm just so great. I'm just so great. I'm not really. I'm joking.
I think you got that across.
What to plug? Well, I'm going to plug it. Patreon, if you are interested in Patreon, obviously please go and subscribe to this gentleman's Patreon here first, obviously. But if you have any spare money left over, come and join the Overview Patreon because it's a great thing. We give away dubs, and there's actually an exclusive podcast of me just ranting about a subject for a good hour or two. So if you really want a good bit of quality content, you're going to go sign up now. I know he's going to be like interested. He's like,
I'm always interested in a fair bit of ranting. So
yeah, no, I actually do a Patreon exclusive like podcast of I've done a few. I did like a whole 6 episode about my back history and.
Pete's and popular takes or something.
Yeah, kind of that thing, like a bit of that. But yeah, so that's patreon.com/overview. Yeah, that'd be cool. Obviously, check us out on SoundCloud, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. We are on TikTok.
Maybe. Oh, you are. Oh, you are already.
We are, but to be honest with you, I haven't. I'm not doing TikTok right. Basically, that's the thing. Yeah. I need to change my TikTok tactics because it's not doing too well at the moment. But yeah, it's a tough app. I'm too old. That's the problem. I'm too old. Yeah, that, and then we got a number of events coming up. Oh damn, where are we going to be? We're going to be in. Well, what month are we in now? I'm going to be in Exeter next week. When's this going out? Is this going out soon?
2 weeks time. So
2 weeks time. Okay, no, Exeter would have been and gone. We've got a big show at Trinity Centre in Bristol, which will be really good. We're going to be back in London. We're going to be in Guildford. Hospitality on the Beach. Are you coming to Hospitality on the Beach?
Probably not. No, it's going to be a stretch. I'll see what I can do, but it's going to be a stretch, I think, for me this year.
No, it'll be all right. Next year. Maybe.
Yeah.
If Overview's not on, don't worry about it. But yeah, no, I think that's probably just about. I probably have massively forgotten anything. Obviously, if you are into drum and bass podcasts, which I'm guessing you might be if you are watching this podcast right now, do check out the Overview Music Podcast. Some of you probably already have. It is just me presenting some tunes from the scene. We do the Overviewed series as well.
Is that one on Spotify or not? Because I feel I've only seen it on Facebook.
What, the Overviewed podcast or Overviewed?
The one with your guests where you're chatting.
To be honest with you, I probably need to have a talk with you after this because
it should be on Spotify.
It should be on Spotify. I've kind of because I really wanted to get the Overview music podcast on Spotify, but I believe Spotify has some rules where you're not allowed to play pre-released music or something. Is that
okay? I don't know. I don't play any music, so.
All right, that's what I mean. Unfortunately, it's not on Spotify. It's on Facebook and it's on YouTube. You can watch the video on YouTube and Facebook. Oh yeah, no,
because obviously you play music when you're chatting with whoever's releasing. Yeah, so then I don't know if it would fit on. Yeah.
Well, I think it would. I think I've also just not. I've just been a bit lazy with it and not like.
That's a short answer.
And now we've built up and we've got so many episodes that actually to sit back and like upload them all and like do all of that it's on my to-do list.
And actually, because you own all the music, actually there probably wouldn't be any issues anyway.
Well, the problem is, maybe for the interview podcast, but for
the other one, I don't know.
Yeah, for the actual Overview Music podcast, like I play I try to play a lot of dubs and stuff that people wouldn't have heard. And I was told by Serum did say to me that you couldn't do that or something.
You're not supposed to. Yeah, you're supposed to have the explicit agreement and of every single label you're playing music from.
I did try to upload it once, and Spotify was just like, nah, we're not having that on. It's on my to-do list. Like I said, we'll do it. But yeah, so if anyone wants to check out that, Go check that out. And yeah, just big up to anyone that has been supporting what we do and all of that. And thank you so much for having me on. Thank you so much. This has been a good chat. I feel like next time, if there is a next time, when you have me back, we'll do no time frame talk and just go for it and see how long you can go for, because I could go for a long time.
Yeah, I was definitely getting the vibe that we could go on for another few hours. I think the most I've done is like just over 2 hours, so we could have easily beat that one this time.
This is what I mean, because you look at like Rogan or whatever, like some of those go on for like 4 or 6 hours.
Ridiculous.
Which to be honest with you, I'm not just saying it. I would be interested to do, because not to sit there and go, oh right, we're going to talk forever, but just having a free-flying conversation and documenting that and putting that out, because again, I don't think drum and bass has enough of it, and also there's maybe not so many people want to do that. So maybe we'll have a talk.
Maybe for
a marathon podcast
episode, because this will be episode like 72 or something. Maybe episode like 100 or whatever. We could do a special like marathon episode. That could be interesting.
We'll go until someone drops.
Yeah.
Until you get fed up with one another. Who's gonna get bored of one another already?
Probably need a bit of alcohol to.
Oh yeah, actually, I tell you, well, that's a dangerous idea. I don't know. There was we did try to do something on Goat Shed. I don't know if you remember that.
No.
So I've got to try and shut up now. But we did do we did do a podcast on Goat Shed. He wanted the Watershed. So
okay.
Adam from Goat Shed, big up Adam from Goat Shed. He wanted to do a similar thing to this, but we had loads of people on.
Yeah.
We had this one episode with fucking Skibbity on it. It was so good. It was so good. My one story was that we did like a stay at home festival kind of like after party thing where we all got on camera and were like giving prizes away and stuff. But it was also my birthday, and Miss Magoo started getting everyone to do shots. And there's a podcast, there's this episode up of me.
Wrecked.
I'd had way too much to drink. I don't actually remember the podcast ending.
Is that still online?
It is online. It is online.
Oh, shit,
if you check it out on, I am actually worried to direct people to that.
It's too late now. They'll find it.
It's kind of, it's quite impressive that happened, to be honest. But yeah, it's a good laugh as well. Brilliant. If you really want to laugh at someone really, really drunk on the internet, that is my tip.
Right.
And on that, I better go.
On that great note, I'll leave you to it.
People on me.
It's been a pleasure, man. And I'm sure we'll be chatting soon. All the best with the events, the releases, all of that stuff. And I'll see you soon.
Yeah, and I'll be checking your podcast out. I'll be number one fan. I'll sign up to Patreon. We'll do it.
All right. Cheers, man. See you.
All right, mate.
Cheers.
Let's have a good one. Speak to you in a bit.